What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Chemical Guys Detail Garage. Today we have this Jeep and it's pretty filthy, has a ton of dirt and grime and all the cracks and crevices and all around the vehicle, has spider webs all over it, the wheels are dirty, undercarriage is dirty. So today we're going to show you guys how to give it a nice deep clean and also protect it so that the next time it does go off-roading, it's much easier to clean. So stay tuned, don't miss out. All right, guys, so before we get into any kind of cleaning, let's just go ahead and take a second and look at this Jeep and actually figure out what it needs. Now, we know it's gonna need a wash. We know we're gonna have to definitely clean the wheels, the undercarriage, address these plastics and trim all over. But the main reason that we're doing this video is because the owner of this car clearly loves off-roading. They're clearly gonna take their Jeep off-roading all over again. Most likely, probably the next day that we clean it up for her. So we're mainly gonna focus on the cleaning and protection aspect of this Jeep. So like I mentioned, it's gonna get dirty again. So we just wanna make sure that the next time it does go off-roading, it's much easier to clean. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the wheels. All right, guys, so we're right here with the wheels and the undercarriage. And of course, the first step that you wanna do is give everything a pre-rinse to knock off the loose dirt and debris on the surface. All right, the next thing on the list is we're gonna activate our suds. Now right here in my bucket, I do have some Diablo wheel gel in conjunction with a bunch of different brushes that we're gonna be using to clean the undercarriage and the wheels. So I'm gonna go ahead and activate my suds of the Diablo with my pressure washer hose. So the first product that I'm gonna grab right here is our orange degreaser. Now this right here is a professional grade citrus-based degreaser that does an incredible job at breaking down heavy dirt and grime, grease, oils, virtually any surface of your exterior of your ride. So in this case, I'm gonna be using it to clean my undercarriage. So what I'm gonna do here is spray a nice coat of the orange degreaser onto the undercarriage areas. And this is gonna help break down the kind of grease buildup, dirt, grime, so that we can remove that. That way, once we're done cleaning this, and I'll show you guys once we're actually there at that step, we're gonna remove a lot of this dirt and grime. And what that's gonna do is actually allow us to have a better bond whenever we apply our undercarriage protectant. And I'll show you guys that once we get there. But the first brush that I'm gonna grab here is our Wheelworks brush. Now this brush is great because it's a flag tip material, which means that it works great for breaking down dirt and grime and agitating all that stuff. And it's also flexible so that we can get that nice deep clean on virtually all areas of this undercarriage. And I'm just gonna get some of that suds from the Diablo wheel gel. And I'm simply gonna agitate the surface of this undercarriage to knock off any kind of dirt and grime that's stuck on the surface. All right, guys, so now that I'm done scrubbing the undercarriage, I'm gonna set my brush down and give this a rinse. So the next thing that we're gonna do is tackle the tires with the Signature Series orange degreaser. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna spray a coat all throughout the wheel, or should I say tire. And that's gonna start breaking down the dirt, the grease, the grime that's embedded within the tire itself so that we can achieve that ultimate level of clean. Now the next thing I'm gonna grab is a stiff bristle brush. So I have my blue stiffy here. And this right here is a very hard texture brush that's gonna do an amazing job at agitating all the dirt and grime that's sitting on the surface. So I'm just gonna grab some cleaning suds and then I'm just gonna start agitating. And check that out, you guys. Just with a few little wipes, you'll see all the brown grime that we've extracted from this tire. And that's a great sign. That's the sign that we're knocking off all the dirt and grime. That way that whenever we apply our dressing and whenever we dry this tire, it's gonna be completely bare so that when we apply our dressing, it's gonna adhere very properly. And just because these wheels are extremely dirty, I'm gonna do another coat just because I still feel that griminess sitting on the surface of the tire. And I just wanna make sure that it's completely knocked off before we finish this wheel detail, because we wanna make sure that when we apply our dressing, it bonds the best possible. All right, guys, and just like that, I'm just gonna go ahead and rinse it off. So now that I'm done, I'm just gonna inspect the tire and just feel it. And if it just kind of feels smooth, you're not really getting a sticky kind of feel to it, and if you look at your fingers and you don't have any kind of dirt that you pulled off, then you'll know that you're done. If you do this and you still have like dirt and grime that's coming off onto your fingers, I would recommend continuing to clean it. That way you have the best tire shine experience possible. Now in this case, I'm completely done with the tire. Now I'm gonna proceed to clean the wheel. And for that, I'm gonna be using some sticky citrus wheel gel. Now this is great because it's safe on all wheel finishes. Now right here we have a matte finished wheel. So the last thing that we wanna do is use a super aggressive cleaner on it because matte surfaces are extremely sensitive. So what I'm gonna do here is spray a nice little coat. And the cool thing about sticky citrus is that it's a very sticky wheel cleaner that clings onto the surface that you're working on, so that you have the maximum cleaning potential possible. So you spray it onto the wheel and it doesn't roll off. It has a very, very sticky substance that just clings onto the surface of the wheel so that you have the deepest level of clean possible. So the next thing I'm gonna grab is my Red Rock wheel brush, and this is great so that I can go ahead and get into the barrel and get that nice deep clean. But before I do that, I'm gonna reactivate my suds real quick just to make sure that we have the best lubrication possible. So I'm gonna grab some cleaning suds, and then sticky citrus wheel gel is gonna foam up as well and also give us some nice slick cleaning experience so that we don't scratch this sensitive matte finished wheel. Next on the list is our green flag tip brush, our wheelie. Now this is great because it's a flexible bristle brush, just kind of like the Wheelworks body brush that we use for the undercarriage. However, we're gonna dedicate this one for our wheels. And same process, it's extremely soft, it's extremely flexible. It's gonna give us that nice, deep, durable clean. The bristles are extremely soft and extremely flexible, giving you the deepest level of clean and the safest cleaning experience. And last but not least, we're just gonna grab our All in the Details brush and just make sure that we get into any kind of intricate areas. As you guys can see, this wheel kind of has like these little rivets all around. You have your lug nuts and you have this little center cap that has a lot of intricate details as well as a valve stem. So we just wanna make sure that we get that nice full deep level of clean, because after all, it's the attention to details that really matter. All right guys, so now that we're all done, we're just gonna give the entire thing a rinse all over again, and then we're just gonna go ahead and proceed to the next wheel. Alrighty guys, so now that we are completely done with the wheels, it's time to get onto the body. But before we start going crazy and just foaming up the entire thing, there's one thing that we gotta pay attention to, which is the back of the car. Now, literally like half of the back of the car is pretty much like exposed. You know, it doesn't have the windows in the back, so it's completely exposed. We can get water inside and we do not wanna do that. So for this process, or I guess for this wash, we're primarily gonna be focusing on cleaning the front of the car with the foam wash. And then I'll show you guys how to clean the back of the car with just your traditional wash bucket method. You know, you don't have to go crazy all the time. You don't have to foam up your entire ride all the time, especially on a car like this that you have intricate areas to work with. We're gonna have to adapt and work with what we've got. All right, so of course we're gonna still be using our 2-bucket method. I got my red bucket, my blue bucket, my red dirt trap, and my blue, sorry guys, have a green dirt trap. I know it doesn't match the colors, but they're dirt traps nonetheless, and we're gonna go ahead and use them to filter out our wash buckets. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the red one on the red bucket, the green one on the blue one. Sorry guys, I don't have the blue one. For all you guys that have OCD and are freaking out right now, I'm sorry, but it's gonna get the job done. We have our dirt traps in the buckets, and now we're gonna go ahead and dedicate our Tough Mudder soap with our blue bucket. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some Tough Mudder, pouring out into there, or the whole bottle. But now that that's all set up, we're gonna grab our Big Mouth Max Release Foam Cannon, and we're gonna set it up as well. And the soap that we're gonna be using today is our Tough Mudder Wash. If you guys have a Jeep, or you guys have an off-road car, or maybe you have to deal with a car that loves going off-roading that you have to clean up, then you need some Tough Mudder in your life. Now this right here is an off-road wash, so it gives you a deep cleaning power, and it also has a built-in sealant that helps fresh mud not stick to the surface, so that you have a much easier cleaning experience the next time you decide to wash your car. And that's why we're using it today. So I have some in my bucket. Now I'm gonna apply some into my foam cannon. I'm only gonna apply about 2 ounces. So I'm gonna go 1, 2. I'm gonna set that down, close it up, and then I'm gonna put my foam cannon nozzle on the top. Make sure that it's securely placed on there. And then we're just gonna go ahead and give that a stir. just to make sure that our Tough Mudder solution is mixed in well with the water. So now that we have pretty much everything set up, we're gonna go ahead and give the car a pre-rinse. Now, one thing I do wanna mention is that we are using our Torx nubby, which as you guys can see, does not have a long wand. This is gonna help us maneuver the nozzle so that we get water where we want it and not where we don't want it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the car a pre-rinse, and I'll be right back with you guys once I'm done. All right guys, so real quick, while I have you guys' attention here, as you guys can see, we are missing an entire window, or in this case, in this Jeep, we're missing the whole windshield that pretty much covers this entire area. So obviously, the last thing I wanna do is spray like this, because then the water is gonna go into there. So what I'm gonna do is actually spray downwards that way so that I don't have the water going into this area that I don't want it to get into. So if you guys will just check it out real quick. Just like that, we completely negate us having the chance of getting water inside. And this area as well, you can pretty much mimic the same thing and just point your nozzle downwards. That way, whenever you shoot it this way, the angle of the water is not gonna go inside the car. So check this out. All right, now I know a little bit of water got in there. That's completely fine. It did kind of like bounce off this area, but that's completely fine. It's not like to the point where we drench the whole interior. We are gonna be cleaning the interior of this car anyways, so make sure to stay tuned for part 2. But for this video, we're just gonna worry about cleaning the outside of the Jeep first. All right, so now that we're done rinsing the Jeep, it's time to get foaming. But before we get crazy with the foam, if you guys didn't already know, the Big Mouth Max Release foam cannon does come with a much wider nozzle, which means that you can shoot your foam at a much higher angle. In this case, I want to control the amount of foam that I'm shooting and how wide I'm shooting it. So in this case, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tinker with the fan of the foam cannon nozzle just to make sure that we don't have the widest fan possible, because obviously we wanna control where the foam is going, and we're not gonna be able to do that if we have this on the widest setting possible. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this up a bit just so that we have the best control, and I'll foam up this Jeep and I'll be right back with you guys once we're done. So the wash mitt I'm going to be using today is going to be our Stranger Handy Helpful Mitt. Now this thing is great because you have the ultimate 5-finger action, and you have the versatility of getting into hard to reach areas. As you can imagine, this Jeep has a ton of crevices. I mean, just check out the grill. You have this whole entire front grill that needs, I guess, a versatile mitt to get the job done, and that's why I've chosen this one right here. So you can use it just like as a traditional wash mitt. You can also use it dry for interior. In this case, I'm using it wet so that I can wipe down the surface of this Jeep. And same process here, we're gonna start from the top. Now this car does have a soft top, so we're mainly just gonna start from right here on the glass. And we're just gonna go ahead and gently wipe down the surface of the Jeep. As you guys can see, I can use my 5 fingers to kind of contour the wash mitt around areas like this, like the fender, so I can easily get this entire lip. I'm also gonna do this area over here, as well as this front area that can definitely use a cleaning. And it's super easy. As you guys can see, I can just grab it and just pretty much work the wash mitt on there and get into all these hard to reach areas. This allows me the versatility to get in there nice and deep and achieve the ultimate level of clean. And then as always, you do want to make sure to come back to your 2-bucket setup. So right here, what I'm going to do is wring out the wash mitt. Wring it out as best as you can. And this is also to knock off any kind of dirt and debris that may have been stuck on your wash mitt. And then we're going to go ahead and go into a rinse bucket and then pretty much just scrape the surface of this wash mitt against that dirt trap that's at the bottom of the bucket. And that's going to help exfoliate the wash mitt from any kind of dirt and grime that may have stuck to it. And if you did use both sides of the wash mitt, make sure to flip it inside out so you can wipe it off any kind of dirt and grime from the yellow side as well. Once again, wring it out outside of your bucket. go back to your suds bucket, and you're all good to go. So I'm just gonna finish up by wiping down the rest of the Jeep, and I'll be right back with you guys once I'm done. All right guys, so now that we're completely done washing the car and fully rinsing it off, now it's time to dry it. Now, we have a ton of intricate areas, crevices, and hard to reach places, so I'm gonna be using the Pro Blow. Now, I'm gonna be using it in conjunction with a Woolly Mammoth drying towel. However, I'm gonna use this first to get the water out of those hard to reach areas, just to make sure that we get the full water out of the car, and then we'll use the Woolly Mammoth to pick up any excess water that we pulled out with the Pro Blow. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Alrighty guys, Jeep is clean, it's dry. However, we're still not done because we have a ton of trim to address. Now, if you guys come check out these trim, they're completely faded. They're in a really bad condition, and some parts are actually rusting. So, you know, there's really not much that we can do about that, but we can make them look a lot better to where probably won't even pay attention to that. So we're gonna be doing that with our tire and trim gel. Now, this is great because this is gonna enhance and restore the trim all around your vehicle. So if you have extremely faded, dull, dried out trim, this is what you want in your life. This is gonna work wonders for your trim, and you can also apply it on rubber seals and tires as well. So it's a very easy to use product. Simply apply a few drops onto a microfiber applicator. I'll show you guys on this little section. Now you guys see it's dry, however, it still looks really bad just because, you know, unfortunately they're just really faded and they're just in a really tough shape. So what I'm gonna do right now is actually just apply some of this tire trim gel, and I want you guys to just see how much it revives it. I mean, check that out, you guys. Just right away, it brings back that nice, deep, bold, dark look, and it makes it look incredible. So this is gonna absorb into the material. That way it looks much better, it restores it. And the great thing about this is that it leaves it completely 100% dry to the touch finish. So this is not gonna attract dust or anything like that. This is an oil-based dressing. However, if you do apply it properly, you're not gonna have any kind of oily residue or anything like that on the surface. You just wanna make sure that you thoroughly work it in. And check that out, you guys. It looks much better. If you compare this little chunk right here to this right here, what do you guys think? I think it looks a million times better. I'm gonna apply just a few more drops, and we're pretty much just gonna mimic this all around the Jeep. As you guys see, these Jeeps, they're known for all these plastic flares and, you know, trim. So we just wanna make sure that this thing looks great. And one other thing about this is that since the oil-based dressing is penetrating the trim, it's also gonna enhance it with hydrophobic properties. That's gonna last you multiple washes. So if you're looking for a dressing that's gonna last you multiple washes, an oil-based dressing like tire trim gel is a really great option to go with. And this thing will literally last you weeks of amazing shine and protection. Quick tip, whenever you apply an oil-based dressing to any kind of exterior trim, my highest recommendation is that you grab a dry microfiber towel and quickly give it a light little buff off. Now what that does is it picks up any excess product that you may have gone overboard with. So for all you guys that, you know, love the shine and you guys love going crazy with that shine, you know, you can do this method to pick up any excess product. That way you don't have any excess sitting on the surface that's gonna sling or cause it not to have that fully dry to the touch feel. So if you guys see right here, I just finished buffing this off right here. I'm actually gonna grab it with my gloves. You guys see my gloves right there. There's no oil on there whatsoever, they're clean. I'm gonna go ahead and feel it. I'll go ahead and get all up in there so that you guys don't see that, you know, we're trying to do anything here. Check out my gloves, they're completely dry to the touch, and the trim looks incredible. All right guys, so just kind of veering off after applying the tire trim gel to the trim, we actually saw that on the front end there was still a bunch of twigs and branches caught within the grill. So we went ahead and did our best at picking that stuff out by hand, and then what we couldn't reach, we actually had to pull out a vacuum. The next thing that we realized is that the grill is extremely oxidized. So we hit it up with some heavy metal polish because we wanted to restore that deep lustrous shine. Now, whenever you have metal pieces like this, especially on this chrome grill, you can hit it with some metal polish to break down any kind of layers of tarnish, oxidation, and like water spots that accumulate on the metal to restore the deep shine and it also contains a built-in sealant, so it also keeps it looking as great as possible for as long as possible. So now that that stuff is out the way, let's get back to the trim. All right guys, and there you guys have it. We are completely done with the exterior of this Jeep. We gave it a full deep clean with some Tough Mudder wash. We cleaned the wheels, we addressed all the trim, plastic and undercarriage, and it looks incredible. What do you guys think? If you guys want to see more of this Jeep, make sure to stay tuned next time where we show you guys how to clean the interior. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give us a like, comment down below what you've liked about this video, and as always, my name is Joey. We'll see you guys next time right here on the Chemical Guys Detail Garage.